What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another video on your screen. I'm here with the legend, ECW Legend, Just Incredible, Part 2. I hope everyone enjoyed Part 1 and can't wait for y'all to hear what we got to say this time. And how are you doing, bro? First off, how's
I'm
everything
hanging
going?
in there. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Doing okay. Really surprised the Dark Side of the Ring episode aired that I was part of, and really surprised at all the comments and all the stuff. The fallout afterwards. It's been really crazy, but doing well.
That's good, man. Good to hear. And thanks again for coming back on my channel for real, man. And I was gonna get into the first question, and it says, what's one opportunity in the past or in the present that you wish you could work in the ring, basically, like opponent.
Well, I'd say an opportunity, and the one thing I wish I would have changed, and I don't know how it would have worked out. Around the time Lance Storm left for WCW, I had a similar opportunity to leave, and even though WCW ended up closing shop, and so did ECW, uh, I wouldn't. Paul basically convinced me to stay with the pay raise and the opportunity to be world's champion. But on the flip side, what happened with Lance was he got a lot of money over 3 years, guaranteed pay. Even though they went under, they still had to pay him. So he made about $500,000 more than me, which I know people say, well, still, you probably did better staying with ECW, but financially, I know he was in a better place, and $500,000, I could have bought my own house outright and stuff like that, which he did. And just I would have probably been in a better position today financially if I would have done that. So I always think, like, what if, because that would have been nice.
Yeah, for real. And second question is, if you stayed in the WWE back in '96, how different do you think your career would have been?
That's a really good question, because right when I left, the Attitude Era started to happen. So I probably wouldn't have been Aldo. I'm sure they would have changed it, because that was always in the talks to give me a new gimmick. But I don't know, man. I think I think at that time in that era of wrestling, I think things were popping off so much, and they were just blowing up on all sides, that I think it would have. I don't know. It might have been really good, because if you remember, everybody in the Attitude Era was doing really well. Everybody was kind of over in their own little way. Yeah. So, that would have been great. I would have loved to have seen what would have come out of it. But unfortunately, things happen for a reason. But I don't know. I'd probably be something completely different,
Yeah,
definitely. And it might have stayed there for a long time. Who knows?
Yeah, the whole landscape would have been kind of different, right?
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And what if you ended up taking that deal to go to to go to WCW at that time, compared to the career in ECW? How different do you think that would have been?
I certainly don't think I would have been pushed and featured the way I was in ECW. That time in ECW really cemented my legacy. As you could say what you will, but there are very few former world's champions, and I was one of them. So as far as clout and accomplishments, I always have that. I don't think I would have been anything like that in WCW, but like I said before, like the financial would have definitely been better. But at the end of the day, I think for my career, I did the right thing, definitely.
That's good, man, bro. Like it's crazy to look back at all this, now that it's been decades,
Yeah.
from Attitude Era, and a lot's happened since then. And all that time in wrestling was this, like you're on cloud nine as a wrestling fan.
Yep.
thinking of everything. Like, dang, I don't know what those guys are going through, man, but all you're thinking about is just the wrestling aspect. That's
Yeah.
bro. That's crazy.
And it really is. It was an unprecedented time because if you think about it, in 2000 there were 3 wrestling companies,
Yeah.
and then in 2001 there was one.
Yeah.
So a lot of people lost their jobs, and I was lucky to find, to go back to the WWE, or WWF still at the time. They didn't make the name change yet, but it really affected everyone else. Not until really AEW came along did we have a real competitor out there with contracts and stuff like that. So it just made, what it did was it oversaturated Vince's talent pool. You know what I mean? They had everybody. So like smaller, less big name wrestlers weren't gonna, you know what I mean? Me, like guys like me, Raven, Dreamer, we weren't gonna get the big push. But yeah, I'm just still lucky I got a spot, I guess. But if there were more opportunities, it would have been different for everyone.
Yeah, for real, for sure. Because I could only imagine how that was back then, and to trying or just being there to try to get your shot, at that time,
Yeah.
I bet it was hard. And how, what's your aspect on where the WWE is right now? Do you feel like they're falling, or do you feel like AEW is going to end up kind of like TNA, when TNA was so high and top, and it felt like
Right.
that better product, and then it just kind of went right back up?
I think WWE they're not in danger of anything, because they'll always be the number one promotion, at least in the long term. But as far as the way they're looked at, it's really suffering. I mean, Monday Night Raw is really, their flagship show is really hard to watch for me. I mean, even though like I watched a little bit of last night, and the first segment with Roman Reigns and those guys and Bobby Lashley coming out, that was a really good segment. But it's to me, it's so predictable. It's so vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
It's at times it's almost corny. And I think AEW is just doing a better job of giving the hardcore smart fans what they want.
Yeah.
I guess WWE caters to a bigger audience, but right now I think AEW, I mean, Vince has caused this himself, because through Vince firing and letting people go, AEW is just, all they did was pick them up, and maybe they romanced a couple of guys over, but CM Punk and Daniel Bryan is a huge get. And I think it's going to continue. I mean, Bray Wyatt's probably going to end up over there with a different character, I'm sure. Can't use the Fiend, but nonetheless, I just think they have a huge opportunity right now to really become a legitimate contender, legit.
Oh yeah. That's for sure, man. Because I've been hearing a lot this, I guess, by wrestling fans over here and people I know at work and stuff, and they're like, what if Vince McMahon's master plan is this whole thing, and he has a portion of, he on the side, he owns AEW. That's why he's allowing this stuff to happen. And I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him, but I don't think that's the case.
It's not. I don't think that's the case either. But I mean, that's a good conspiracy theory. But that's the thing, is Vince. If anybody knows Vince, Vince is just so cocky. He doesn't even want to. He doesn't even put it over. I guarantee you, he probably hasn't even watched an episode of AEW. That's just how he is. He's too busy, running that company, and he's getting older to even, I mean, I'm sure everybody else around him does and knows about the product, but Vince is just a stubborn person that just believes his way is the right way. But you can't argue with it, because his company still, on the stock market, is making money, right? They're still, and their stock prices are still going up. They're still turning profit at a record pace. So realistically, in Vince's eyes, he's okay, right? He's not worried necessarily about what the fans are thinking, because at the end of the day, he's still making money. Now, when the money doesn't come in, that's when things will change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Like, and you know him better than, you know, a lot of people out there on that guy's mind and what he's thinking, basically, about
Right.
the whole wrestling world, you know? And, you know, at you know, this time or or in the past, who's your favorite wrestler like right now?
Right now, oh, man, that's a good question. I don't know, man.
Like since you're a wrestling fan first, you know, leading up to now, you don't have like one wrestler that you're just
Of
like,
like the current guys right
yeah,
now.
yeah, you're like, that's my favorite wrestler, you know, being a wrestling fan.
Not really. The closest I had was like Shawn Michaels. I was a huge Shawn Michaels mark. Even towards the even like later on in his career, I was a huge mark for Shawn. I mean, I like a lot of the AEW guys. I like Hangman Adam Page, and I like Kenny Omega. Unfortunately, I never watched the New Japan stuff he did, and I guess he was much better in New Japan, or from what people tell me. I just haven't seen, even though he's had some very good matches in AEW, I just haven't seen the Kenny Omega that everybody says is the best wrestler in the world. Not dissing him, I just haven't seen it yet. But I'd say Hangman Adam Page is definitely one of them, and I would say Kenny as well.
Yeah, that's real, bro. You know, because Hangman is a underdog,
Yeah,
and
and he's really talented. I think once they give him the ball when he comes back, I think he's going to be fire. And it's a good thing he's out right now too, because they're focusing on Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, all the new guys. And then when he comes back, it's almost going to be like a breath of fresh air, right? Like a new guy almost. So it's gonna do good for everybody, including him.
yeah. What is your take on that? Do you feel like um them kind of reliving or redoing their career in AEW? Do you feel like it's the best thing for them?
For who?
Like for Daniel and East
Oh
and
yeah. Oh, big time. Yeah, absolutely. Because they got paid. They don't need this. I think for them, it's like a way to go out the way they want to kind of, it gives me very much the ECW vibe, where in ECW, we didn't have the big machine telling you, in WWE, man, if you want to do something in a match, you have to go through 10 different agents and they got to run it through Vince. It's like a whole big thing. And there in AEW, it's just you and the other guy. So it's very much, you could do your own thing. You're your own, you know what I mean? And for a wrestler, I know for me, when I was in ECW, it was just such a pleasure to do, just go out there and do what you want to do. And I feel that that's how they feel. Like they've probably not had that in a very long time. So to be on a big stage, like this week's at Dynamite tomorrow, it's going to be in front of 20,000 people, dude, and that's going to be huge. And so they're still wrestling in front of huge crowds on national television, and to be able to go out there and just rock it, I think that's a huge satisfaction for them. So I think it's good for them, and I think it's good for everybody.
that's just wild, bro. Like it's kind of trying to get me back into being that wrestling fan that I used to be.
Right.
And it's exciting. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
it's very, even for me, it's very exciting.
All the way, are we going out tonight? All the way, I'ma chug the bottle, chug it all the way. Made it this far,